we've got James O'Regan. He's kindly flown over from Ireland to present this to us and around the use of AI in EUC, which I think is very relevant, as I say, from all the things that are happening at the moment around it.
Thanks, Nigel. Okay, first of all, I need to apologize because my voice is going, so I'm going to try and get through this. So obviously everyone is probably aware of how AI is having an impact on our lives, and I thought it would be interesting to give you a bit of background. I did a similar type session at E2E VC in Rome with one of the other community guys, Gerjan Kuntz, and we did that together. So I've just taken that and added a few elements and changed it. So just to give you a little bit of background on myself, as I said, my name's James O'Regan. I am from Dublin. I work in product marketing for Liquidware. I'm also the co-leader of the Irish Citrix user group, and I'm a Citrix CTA as well. So I was thinking about this when I was putting this presentation together, and I was thinking about when did I first hear the term AI? And hands up anyone else who was born in the 70s. Okay, so for me, the first thing, it's gone too far. For me, the first time, when I thought of AI, this immediately came to Skynet. Everyone knows, in case there's younger people, this is the Terminator movie, which has an artificial intelligence. So, that's pretty scary. It's not where we are. In fact, if I think about it, this is where we are. Clippy is back, but it's Clippy 2.0, and it's Copilot. So, that's kind of where we're at. Where I think we're going with this, if I'm honest, hopefully this works. This is Tony Stark, Iron Man. He basically has his AI. He can talk to it. It can talk to him. It generates multiple screens, all of these models. He has all the information he needs at his disposal. And that's kind of where I feel we're going in the short term. But as you see there's a robot. It messed up, and he said he was going to turn it into a garbage disposal. So, it's not perfect. So just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, I suppose what I'm looking at is, to educate people on AI. Do have a look at it, and there are good points to it. There are bad points to it. So just to go on from that, if we look at the different types of AI. So you have reactive AI, single classification for single tasks. It doesn't do well with scenarios. You've got then limited memory, can handle complex classification cases. So limited memory is kind of where we are now. So the one I disagree with on this list is capable of complex tasks such as self-driving. Well, we all know that's untrue. So, there's no self-driving cars. It's been a disaster. No one has perfected that yet. So, there are absolutely limitations when it comes to AI. Then we get into the kind of the stages where I start to get a little bit scared, because if you look at the things that we've got theory of mind, able to understand human motives and reasoning. Okay, wow. Can deliver personal experiences. Considered that's the next evolution. Now, this is the one where I'm going back to my Terminator screen when I hear this one. The self-aware, human-level intelligence that can bypass our intelligence. Well, you just think of 2001: Space Odyssey, HAL. Scares the living daylights out of me. So I think that's the thing about AI. There is so many benefits, and we're going to talk about them as well, but there's quite a few downsides to it. And there's really, I'll show you later on, but there's all kind of people who are involved in AI are looking at it from all kind of points of view. But I suppose to delve a bit deeper, I want to start with a bit of history. So AI did not start in January 2023, despite what people, ChatGPT was not the first thing. If you really want to go back, it started in 1950 with the Turing test, which is about to measure a machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior. Then in 1956, you had an American scientist called John McCarthy. I actually looked into him. He has Irish parents, so I'm claiming him as Irish. So he coined the term artificial intelligence during what he called the Dartmouth Conference, and he is classified as inventing the term artificial intelligence. And he wanted to kind of get all of the kind of cognitive scientists and computer scientists at the time and get them together and start looking at it in a deeper level. And that's kind of where the whole field of AI comes from. So then we go on, we've got some development in the 1960s around problem solving, language understanding and learning machines. 70s, not so much progress. If you look at probably what was going on in the world at the time, all that kind of thing, it just didn't kind of happen for AI. Going into the 80s, you kind of had a revival. You had the advent of machine learning and expert systems. 1997 onwards, so you've got Deep Blue, which was IBM's AI, and it beat Garry Kasparov in chess. So, and we've had all sorts of developments. And now so it says in 2020, OpenAI released GPT-3. But I want to go back a little bit further. So I'm sure people have been aware of, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But in 2015, OpenAI was founded. So you may have heard people like Sam Altman, Greg Brockman. But there was one other person who left OpenAI, and that is Elon Musk. He is one of the original founders of OpenAI. And he left in 2018 to work on the self-driving functions of Tesla, and we know how well that's gone. So, he is brilliant, and he has so many different things going on with his different companies. But there was two reasons. They said it was due to a conflict of interest. But another reason that's been put out there is basically they weren't making enough progress, and he got impatient and went off to do his own thing. But it's just kind of, if you look at the people who are involved, it's kind of who you'd expect. So, as I said, Elon left in 2018. Then in 2019, Sam Altman negotiated with Microsoft. They signed a $1 billion partnership, and it was basically about granting Microsoft the rights to commercialize OpenAI. So, as you've seen, and we'll get to Copilot, this partnership has evolved, and it has allowed Microsoft, and in conjunction with OpenAI, to develop them in terms of where they are with their AI now. Obviously, then, if we look forward, December to January, we all started hearing about ChatGPT, and that's where kind of I started, was with my first looking at ChatGPT, and then kind of exploring further. So let's go on. Let's look at the players. There's the obvious ones there. Google have their whole DeepMind thing, and then they have their own kind of Gen AI, which is called Bard. OpenAI obviously has ChatGPT, and Microsoft has Copilot. So let's talk about the last couple of days, because it's been absolutely crazy. So I'm sure most people are aware, but basically on Friday, on Friday, OpenAI's board took the really intelligent decision to fire their CEO. And, companies fire CEOs all the time. And I thought that was kind of, okay, we'll see how that plays out. It then turned into one of the biggest soap operas I've ever seen in tech. Friday afternoon, my time, you hear about Sam Altman's being fired. Then you hear that Greg Altman is leaving, and then more and more people. And then it kind of all over the weekend comes out that they want to bring him back. And that's fine. Comes to Sunday, it looks like he's going back, storming the teacup, apart from all the money that, Microsoft share price crashed because of their partnership. But then Monday morning, I'm sitting there at breakfast, and I'm just on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. And I'm just there on Twitter, and I see this thing from Satya from Microsoft saying that Microsoft have just hired Sam Altman, but will continue their partnership with OpenAI. So I really think the biggest player now in AI is Microsoft, giving what, next level kind of strategy from them to kind of get the best minds from. And at the moment, I was reading a couple of tweets before I left here, and there's been this mass exodus from OpenAI, and it's not outside the realms of possibility that OpenAI won't exist in a couple of weeks' time, or days, God knows. This is the thing about AI. Everything moves so quickly. It is so hard. As I said, most of these slides will probably be out of date by the time I finish, so it's just the way it is. So let's talk about Copilot, because as you can see there from this diagram, you have Copilot is now going to be at the center of everything that Microsoft does. To use the Oprah Winfrey phrase, Copilot's for everyone. Well, not quite. So I would love to have a go at Copilot, but I work for a company that only has 100 employees, so we can't get access to Copilot at the moment. So to get access to Copilot, you need an M365 license, E3 or E5, and you have to have over 300 employees. So there is a couple of things they have introduced. So OpenAI recently introduced what's called GPTs. So Microsoft now have their version. As I said, there's a partnership so they can use it, and it's called Copilot Studio, and you can basically go and create your own GPTs using Copilot Studio. And you can actually get access to a free trial at the moment. So, as we've talked a little bit there about Copilot and how it is integrated into everything, you've got the Bing search with Copilot, the security, it's going to be in the operating system. It's core to what Microsoft are doing. It's as big a deal, I think, as Azure is as a platform for Microsoft. That's how big it is. And I suppose it kind of, if you look at what has happened and the way things have played out, it is just all in Microsoft's favor what has happened over the last couple of days. They have access to the talent, and they also have the agreement with OpenAI from a technology standpoint, so it's win-win from them. So just to kind of delve, if you wanted to start your journey, you have, as I said, you've got ChatGPT, you have Bard, you've got DALL-E, you've got Midjourney. There are so many different AI applications out there. Here's a list of, this link has 152. There are so many more. As I said, I mentioned Copilot. I didn't mention the one from a scripting perspective. You've got GitHub with Copilot, Power Platform, security. There is so much stuff out there. So it's kind of, it's interesting to see. So if we take it a little bit further and look at, actually, I don't know if this is going to work. I asked so I had first had the kind of thought for this session it was at EUC Forum, actually in Manchester. And I asked a couple of people what their thoughts were on AI. Now I'm using my own laptop, so I don't know if sound's going to work. So let me just try this. Let's see if it's going to work. No, it's not going to work. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so I asked Ben and Ryan what their views were, and Ben actually talked about how, from his point of view, he saw AI in terms of kind of looking at decks and how you could analyze, root cause analysis, those kind of things. Ryan was talking about how you can streamline your processes and what you're doing. And those are kind of some of the areas where if you think about, I was talking to someone last night who has Copilot, and it is definitely one of the things is all about streamlining those processes, being able to work more efficiently. And at the moment, that's where we are with AI. So,
what's your opinion
it does work. Yay!
Of AI on EUC?
Oh, EUC is a really, really big field, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose where I would probably see it the most would be around analytics, probably around digital employee experience management. And I think we've seen stuff like AI Ops for a long, long time, but that's before we had this latest wave of AI. So I think we're probably going to see something along the lines of predictive user experience
again, Ryan, what is your view on the impact of AI on EUC?
I don't think it will remove, admins and EUC. I think it will streamline processes, allow them to get on more interesting work. Rather than day-to-day business as usual, insights, analysis, and basically streamline everything.
Okay, so as I said, those are just some insights from a couple of people who I asked. So thank you, Ben and Ryan. They did not know they were going to be part of this presentation. So let's have a look at some use cases in EUC. So I was thinking about this, and I was at ETVC in Rome, and I was talking to, it was after the sessions. We'd all had a few drinks, and of course, we were just standing around talking tech, and we were talking about AI because that's just what you do at the moment. It's everywhere. So, and we were thinking about it, and it was kind of why I asked Tom in his session when he was talking about the recommendations that are coming to Cloud PC. Because I was thinking about if you're an AI and say you're, monitoring a host and you're looking at performance issues, its objective is to make sure that server runs as efficiently as possible. How do you do that? You kick users off. So that's why I was asking Tom about, is it on a recommendation? Because I think this is where we're at, that, there's all various different use cases, but they do require human interaction or, just asking a question before we go. You don't want, oh yeah, my servers are running completely efficiently because they've no users on them. So that's not a use case for end user computing because, it stands for end user computing. So it's just something to bear in mind. I think it's great as a tool, as an assistant, but left to its own devices, it could do some real damage. And so that was kind of that whole monitoring remediation is just one component of it. So if we look at intelligent analysis, all about this kind of making recommendations. It could be seamless interaction with your customers. VR training simulate. There are so many kind of use cases. And if you think about end user computing, how much data we generate in end user computing through all the various platforms and tools, and if you can just get access to all of that information and query it, I think that's really where we're going to kind of see the biggest impact with AI. It's been referenced numerous times that I think Spencer in his session said about VMware were going to be accessing all the information from Intel and and they have all their information. And you can just see that it is all about kind of querying the existing information. And that's one of the things, and I'll show you, this is one of the things with GPTs or kind of if you look at Copilot Studio, you can bring in your own data, and that's where the real power is. It's not in like running random queries. It's being able to utilize your own data in conjunction with the AI. So those are just some scenarios. And this is moves on again to this kind of whole predictive intelligence thing. Predictive maintenance for zero downtime, as I said, within the realms of having some interaction with someone to ensure that, or smart resource allocation. I suppose another one would be to kind of, if you're looking to spin up a new environment, you can interact with AI using your voice. So if you could say, if we're going back to the kind of Iron Man example, Copilot, spin me up 10 VMs this size in this Azure region, and so on and so forth. And so it just takes away the kind of complexity, and it's just, it can just deliver it in a very simple way. Obviously, reporting, as I said, analysis of data, absolutely. That's, looking for getting insights from data. So these are all kind of ways. And then, as I said, I was talking to someone from Microsoft, and they were telling me about how they were utilizing Copilot. And one of the things they mentioned was, and I just thought it was really good, it was kind of, as within meetings, we've all been in meetings, you're kind of semi-paying attention, and then something piques your interest, and you're like, oh, I missed that. Well, with Copilot, you have the ability to query that meeting, get the pertinent points out of it, get an action out of it, get the relevant documentation to it. So it just, you know, it means a more kind of, it gives you that detail you require and just the preciseness that you require. Don't have to have the whole kind of what was going on in the call. So that's just one angle which I saw. And as I said, here we've got kind of, you know, transcripts, AI optimized virtual meetings. Security, obviously, you know, in behavioral biometrics, yeah, I don't like biometrics. I have a little bit of a fear of biometrics and who has access to my biometrics. So, but it is a use case, and biometrics are used in security. Compliance monitoring, absolutely, yeah. If you could automate that process, and intent-based detections and all this kind of thing. But I suppose the flip side is, you know, if you have AI on the security side, it's likely the bad actors on the other side have AI. So we are going to see more complex threats coming through, and, you know, it'll be a balancing act in terms of trying to protect them, I suppose. And then, you know, wellness and productivity enhancement. Well, yeah, this is where AI, ergonomic suggestions for physical health. So obviously that has a HR impact. Well-being monitoring. Yeah, I'm not sure about well-being monitoring in companies. That sort of sounds like spying to me. Now, this is one which I found really interesting. So Salesforce have their own AI, and apparently it can be used to analyze if someone has an intent to buy whatever you're trying to sell them. I was like, what? That is mind-blowing. So you can just see all these different use cases, all the kind of stuff around emotions and being able to determine body language and all that. That's kind of a really kind of interesting use case. So those are just some of the use cases. As I said, you know, deployment, monitoring, data analysis. These are kind of the key kind of areas. So just I wanted to, if I just want to switch out of this for 1 second, and we will go over here. So this is ChatGPT. You've probably all seen this, but this is a GPT. I've started putting this together because I wasn't sure about bandwidth. But, you know, what you can do is you can build it for specific tasks. So it asked me, what did I want to do? I said, make an end user computing analysis. Feel free to use Magic Quadrants and hype cycles. So they've then suggested a name, and they've suggested an image. And then I can configure this. It's got instructions. It's got conversation starters. And this is where it gets interesting. So if I had some files that I wanted it to be able to use for reference, you can upload your files. Now, what I will say, this is on ChatGPT, which is an OpenAI solution. OpenAI own the data as soon as you hit that upload button. So be very careful what you upload to ChatGPT, because OpenAI can use it to train their models. So it's just something to bear in mind. And then the other thing with this GPT is it's got web browsing enabled, so it can go search the internet. It can do image generation. As you can see, it generated a logo for this GPT. It even has a code interpreter. And then you can do actions where you can go and query third-party plugins. So you can just see the power it brings to you. I have, you know, there's no coding required here. You just can press, you know, give it some instructions, and away it goes. You know, you could say, so it says, explain the current Magic Quadrant for laptops. Let's do one that's actually relevant.
You ask it whether the year of PDI will be.
Oh, yes. And essentially, it's gone off. It's now going to pull in all the data you can see on the internet around the DAS market. I could be more specific to ask it to look at particular vendors, but or whatever. And sometimes you get generalized information. The more detailed and the more detailed your prompts are, the more information. Well, what this does is, say I have uploaded all my files to this. Instead of starting a brand new chat, I can just go in and reuse this GPT, and it already has all the background data. It knows what I asked it previously, and I can just keep adding and adapting that for my needs. So it's just a very quick demonstration of what you can do. And this is kind of what you can do in Copilot Studio. And the thing is, when you do it in Copilot Studio, it's within your own tenant. Microsoft don't use the model, don't gather your data and use it in their model. So it's a whole, it has that whole copyright, privacy function that you don't have within the kind of OpenAI one. So it's just something to be aware of. As I said, I've just started playing around with this. There is talk that what they're going to do is they're going to introduce their equivalent of an app store. I don't know if that's now going to happen because, as I said, who knows if they're going to exist. I may, I have a professional subscription with OpenAI. I don't know what's going to happen in the next while. So, but it's just, we've come so far in such a short space of time, and these GPTs are so, you can do them for anything. You can do them for, if you just wanted dinner recipes and you wanted it to do it in the style, you can actually set the tone as well, and that's where you kind of build on it, and you get to where, eventually we'll get to where, in the video where Tony Stark is able to talk and interact with it, and it has a certain tone and all of that kind of thing. So that's just a quick example. So just back over here. So as I said, you can do numerous things. It's a bit of a rabbit hole. You can do pretty much anything. So I advise you to just go play with it. Think about the use cases you want to do and go on from there. That's really the kind of where it goes from there. So where are we now? So, oh yeah, okay. So responsible AI. We've talked about some of the benefits. There is lots of benefits to AI. It can really help us with those kind of really kind of substantial issues we have, like climate change and energy usage and all that. But there is a flip side to that, and we'll get into that. But also there is this thing called responsible AI. So, and kind of, this is where, the models are only as good as the information, and this is what I was talking about, how you want to always have a human interaction. So, you've got things like inclusiveness, so accountability, fairness. So if you build a completely biased model, then obviously it's going to be biased. So, these are kind of principles that most of the models are built on. They have, we'll go a bit further, privacy and security. As I said, OpenAI, you upload anything to it, they can use that data in their model. If you use Microsoft, they don't. So these are things to be aware of. Transparency, explainable, all of these kind of things that you'd kind of expect. Now, if we want to get I don't really want to put a downer in the day, but unfortunately, there is a downside. So there's this group called the Center for AI Safety. It is a who's who of in AI. It's people from OpenAI. It's people from Google DeepMind. It's Bill Gates. It's all kind of, really big thinkers within the kind of technology sector. And this statement, mitigating the risks of extinction from AI. Extinction from AI. I'm like, okay, I just get my Terminator image or, what you call it, The Matrix or Blade Runner. Jeez, there's so many kind of cultural references. So it should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. Wow, okay. So if you go back to what I said, AI is today, Clippy, yeah, this is not where they think it's going. And I suppose what they want to ensure is that we always have those kind of safeguards in place to kind of control the development of AI. We can't stop the development of AI. That's not possible. We're past that point at this stage. But just to have those kind of checks and balances in place, and so we can move forward with AI, and it can be an aid to us, not wanting to wipe us out. So, just a couple of examples of the downsides of AI. We've got you have different things where we keep hearing about people's jobs are being replaced by AI. In this case, Microsoft, they replaced some jobs with AI around their MSN.com, which gathers the news from all over. It has printed so much stuff that's not true. They nearly got sued by The Guardian because they were putting out stories where it were completely false. So AI does have this thing where it hallucinates. I'll give you an example that comes from my day job. I was asking it something around one of our solutions. And I asked it to, I kind of wanted to see what it was able to access. And it went off, it produced a product roadmap that doesn't exist. It was complete hallucination. Now, have I taken parts of that and fed that back to our product team? Absolutely, I have. But it was just to bear in mind when you utilize these things I think it's getting less, because if the latest release of ChatGPT for Turbo, all of its data is up to date up to April 2023. Prior to that, it was 2022. So I think as this develops as a solution, we will see less and less hallucinations, and that's what they're working on within their models. But it is something to be aware of. Here's another one. Lawyer blames ChatGPT for tricking them into citing bogus case law. Oh my God. It's like, if you're a lawyer, surely you should be checking your sources and not taking the word of ChatGPT. So this is what I'm saying. Be careful. Don't use it as a source of truth. Query it. Look for sources. It has started to produce sources, and I know for a fact that one of the advantages I've noticed of Google Bard over others, it always gives a hyperlink to where it's grabbing the data from, so you can go and check its source. But you always need to go and check where it's gathering the data. So we talked about some of the downsides, and I wanted to talk a little bit about regulation, because we do need some kind of safeguards in place around AI. And the first order that has been executed is an executive order by Joe Biden and to kind of put in measures around safety for AI. I know the European Union is doing similar. I have absolutely no idea what the UK is doing. Are they doing anything? Does anyone know?
Yeah, there is like a pre-legislation, but it's been said, don't get me wrong, crack on.
Yeah, well, when Rizzy's meeting with, Elon, that's never, it doesn't seem like a good sign. So, yeah, we do need regulation. This thing cannot be left untethered. So hopefully it's a bit better than what Ryan suggests in the future. So, kind of just to finish up, if I move on. So, look, as I said, the age of AI, it is here. If we want to look at, can we keep our jobs? There's a quote from someone, I don't know who it is, but it is that AI won't take your job. Someone who utilizes AI will take your job. So we all need to embrace this, but I don't really need to tell people in this room that, because everyone here works in tech. We always have to evolve. There's always new things coming at us. So this is no different. Well, it is. So do I need to worry? For me, this is one of the most exciting, this is the most exciting time in my entire tech career. It is the most frightening as well, because there's so many positive aspects, there's potentially so many negative aspects as well. So for the moment, I think we're at the phase where it's there to assist us. I I'm hoping all the really bad stuff are after I'm gone, so I don't have to worry about them because there's enough things to worry about at the moment. So yeah, but I think it also can create opportunities because there will be lots of new jobs created through AI, different types of roles that maybe don't exist. If you think about developing skills, the latest OpenAI model can now, you can upload a 300-page document and it will summarize that. So just think about learning something and just being able to get the sentient points out of that, providing you give the right prompt. If you just say, summarize this, but if you give it the right context, then it can just speed up the whole kind of learning development and kind of your skills. And as we've said, there are ethical considerations, and AI should, in my opinion, always require human oversight. And I think there will be a whole I think that's going to be a whole new sector is around AI safety and AI regulation. And that's going to open up a new sphere of jobs that we've never had before. So yeah, I think we've covered most of the main points. So has anyone any questions? I'll try and answer them, but my voice is going. So, but thank you all very much for your time. I hope you found that beneficial. I'm here for the rest of the day. If I can talk, I'm happy to have a further conversation. And that's all I wanted to say. So thank you.